I've got a vehicle running from us.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to work in law enforcement? From deputies on patrol, what it's like to work in corrections, dig into some cold case investigations, and reveal the multitude of untold stories of how our officers give back to the community. All stories from your neighbors, the hard-working men and women who serve the citizens of York County.
I can back 144 on 5.
This is YCSO Behind the Badge, the official podcast of the York County Sheriff's Office. Welcome to YCSO Behind the Badge. I'm Trent Ferris, Public Information Officer for the York County Sheriff's Office, and also your host. And you've probably gotten the hint by now. We're wanting you to go check us out on our Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, where you can find these videos, these podcasts on a video cast, if you want to call it that. And lastly, please sign up for those Notify Me alerts straight to your phone and email at yorkcountysheriff.com, because when a major event happens in the county, we can get the information to you quickly to your email or a text message. So today, our podcast, Court Security, is a support services unit responsibility for maintaining security on all the York County courthouse facilities here in York County. General Sessions Court, Family Court, Civil Courts, Court, Night Court with... No, we don't have that. That's an old 80s television show, kids. But the unit does provide security for all these court facilities, and we are in need of some people. The unit is comprised of armed, sworn officers providing security, screening, and overall security for these facilities. And it takes a lot to protect 3 large buildings in York County that have hundreds of people entering them day in and day out. Well, not so much for the last couple of months because of COVID, but I believe court is going to start having trials here soon. And one of the men who is in charge of the security for here at the Moss Justice Center is Mark Rodenhauser, Sergeant Extraordinaire.
You are correct, Trent.
There you go. No doubts. Well, first of all, sir, at the beginning of all of these podcasts, we do ask to talk about the man behind the badge, or the one man behind the badge, and that is you, Mark Rodenhauser, the guy before Sergeant. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow, that is a very open-ended question.
It is, and we have 30 minutes. Have at it.
Well, I've been part of the York County Sheriff's Office since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Worked a variety of different areas, and working the road and now in court security.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a neat experience coming from previous careers that I've had,
Mm-hmm.
which is many. I have what I affectionately term career ADD, but I believe I've found one I'm going to stay with.
Me too.
I do enjoy working for the York County Sheriff's Office. It's a great opportunity, good people to work with, and
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity actually to have a positive impact in the community.
Especially right there at the front door when people come in and out of the...
Absolutely.
Because as a court, it's the sheriff's office, detention center, courts, and everybody coming in. It's not like they're coming to Disney World. They're coming into court.
And for some people, that's going to be their first experience with the sheriff's office. So we want to make sure that we take good care of them, that
Mm-hmm.
they understand that the sheriff's office is filled with professionals, people that really want to do a good job for their community, and that's really what we're here for.
All right. Well, okay. Elephant in the room here, Mark. Well, if you don't know, you spent some time playing a specific sport for many years of your life. So come on, let's talk about it.
One of my prior, which I had alluded to previously, is I did spend 12 years in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And actually what brought me to the area was in 1995, I was taken by the Carolina Panthers in the expansion draft.
Bingo.
And became a citizen of the area.
Mm-hmm.
And played with the Panthers for the original season, 95, then 96 and 97
Mm-hmm.
as well. And played for 6 other teams during my 12-year whirlwind tour of the National Football League.
And what position did you play and all that stuff for people who are curious?
I was a way backup offensive lineman and primarily a specialist. I was a long snapper.
All right.
That was really my forte.
Well, that's one of that's an important position on the football field.
It is. And from my standpoint, probably the most important.
Right.
But that would be very skewed to my perspective.
Well, good, man. Well, people are thinking, it's like, okay, you were in the NFL for 12 years. What brought you into law enforcement? I mean, is that just, was it something you always wanted to do? Something like that?
No.
Oh, really?
No, I've often credited to a temporary lapse in judgment, but no. Actually, I've always been of the mindset really to be able to help people. I've been in ministry for years and had a variety of businesses that I ran myself, and this was just an opportunity. Truthfully, the main reason was at the time I was very involved in horsemanship, and the department had just Mark McCarter, one of the deputies, started the Mounted Patrol Unit. And that was very alluring to me because I thought, well, now I can get paid to ride horses rather than to pay to ride horses. So that was really what enticed me to take the step and become a deputy here with the sheriff's office.
And that was just you go from, had you always, when you started with the Panthers in '95, you lived here and just stayed here and just.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It was an easy process for me.
Okay.
When I first came down here with the expansion draft, we had a lot of extra practice time. And I remember distinctly calling my wife in April saying, "Hey, babe, how's it going?" And she said, "Well, it's snowing right now." And I said, "Well, I'm jet skiing on Lake Wiley." So the relocation process was very quick coming after that. And we actually relocated originally to Fort Millen, and now we live down in York.
All right. Well, you found a home, and you're here. You're with the York County Sheriff's Office. And tell us what goes on in, I mean, you were on the road, but now you're in charge of the court security for the Moss Justice Center. What goes on in that?
Even court security is a bit of a misnomer because, as you alluded to earlier, this facility is really complex.
And gotten bigger.
We have a lot of agencies that are represented here, all the way from probation, pardon, and parole is here. We have the public defender's office. We have the clerk's office. We have the solicitor's office. We have the detention center, and of course, we have the sheriff's office. So. That's quite a broad spectrum of different agencies represented here. So we have a lot of people that come through this facility for a variety of different needs. And then also as well, we provide security for the facility itself, the physical facility. So it does encompass a broad area. And we have an opportunity to interact with a lot of the community. So it's a unique and challenging position.
And it's not just inside the building. I see you out on the parking lots, too, making sure.
We're covering the grounds. Everything that is the sheriff's office, we make sure it remains secure.
All right. And so, I mean, that's not just here. You also, I mean, you're not in charge of them, but you also have some folks who work the other court.
That's correct. We have 3 buildings that we maintain. The historic courthouse, which is in downtown York, and that handles our probate and other matters. So we man that one, and then we also have the family court, which is a fantastic new facility right on Main Street there in Rock Hill. That is an extremely busy facility. A lot of traffic in and out, and deals with a lot of different family court matters. So we have 3 different sergeants that run those 3 different court areas, and then of course we have a lieutenant that supervises the entire unit.
The whole thing. So he's all over there. Lieutenant Vincent, who bounces all over the place. Let's give him a shout out. So I guess the misconception folks may think of is when you go into a courthouse, and you see the security, the officers, the deputies at the front. They're just, security guards. That is not the case, correct?
No, that is not. And when I was given the responsibility to be a sergeant in this unit, I really have a different vision for it, and I believe the lieutenant does as well, that we are a support unit, and I believe that in the truest sense. When we're not needed, because the court schedule is very flexible. It changes constantly, so at times we're running flat out, and other times we have downtime. So that allows us to be able to support all of the other, from road to warrant services to civil units, whatever is needed. So when you come here and there's a reason they wanted a Class 1 deputy. They didn't want a security guard.
Right.
They want officers who are able to meet a lot of different needs within the department. Right. So we're really kind of a surplus officers that can be utilized anywhere that the department may need.
I mean, you go and so there's no court today, so you can go serve a warrant or work the road a little bit. Is that
Absolutely. It really depends on the needs. We've also found that there's a tremendous amount of need for transports right now. We have a lot of different medical issues, and of course the detention center handles all the prison transports, but we can also be involved in that if there's a high demand. So there's a lot of different areas, and really from my perspective, the thing is as deputies, I always want to keep the edge of the knife sharp. I want to be able to make sure the skill sets remain, because we, as you well know, Trent, we're not just a deputy when we're on duty. We're a deputy 24/7, 365. So we're going to have to respond, and all of us do whenever the need calls.
Right.
So we want to make sure that everybody that we have is fully capable and able to respond, whatever the circumstance may be.
So now you have your chance for folks who may be listening. If they're coming here for whatever reason, if it's coming to the sheriff's office or the detention center or for court, what do the folks need to know when they come in the door? Because we have this brand new building, brand new security checkpoint. Before they walk through the door, what's something you would like them to know before they even get to the handle of the door to come in?
Well, I guess the most important thing, honestly, and to be a bit glib on it, but make sure if you have paperwork, bring it. It's a very helpful thing. We'll be able to figure out where you need to go. But as far as if you're going to be in the courthouses, one of the things that the Supreme Court has determined is that the use of cell phones, and we have all become very cell phone addicted. You are allowed to bring your cell phones in the facility, which was something that was prohibited in the past. But just if you do bring them, make sure you shut them off.
Turn them off.
Because, judges can collect them if they choose to.
Turn them all the way off, or just turn them on vibrate?
I would not tempt yourself, because according to what they have written, the use of a cell phone in a courtroom is prohibited. So therefore, if you look at it or send a text, technically you may fall within that spectrum. So therefore, it's just easier. Besides, we could all afford to take a minute break from the ding and vibration of our cell phones. So.
Disconnect. And then you said the judge, if the judge can take it.
He can. And we have had it happen in the courtroom where it becomes disruptive. So as we're, and you had mentioned a little bit on this, we're starting to ramp back up again, where we're starting to work closer to what a normal court schedule will be. So the amount of disruptions could be tremendous if you have a dozen people in the courtroom or more, and phones are buzzing and dinging and ringing. That can be very disruptive to the whole process. And honestly, you have to think about it. If you were up there before the judge, would you want to have anybody disturbing or interrupting what you're doing? So we just ask that one, it's a law,
right?
It's a rule. You can't do it. And two,
judges,
it's
judges
just
know
be
the
courteous.
law.
Yeah, exactly. And just be courteous of others, because honestly, what happens in the courtroom is very serious.
Of course.
We want to make sure that people get their due process, and that they feel that they've been treated fairly according to.
So with all the COVID stuff, is there anything folks need to know if they're coming in here?
Right now, the courts have deemed that you're going to have to have your temperature checked. So if you have an aversion to that, well, then you better call and reschedule.
Right.
And also, too, they have determined that masks are required when you're inside the court facilities. And, of course, the security officers, and we have bailiffs as well. We have a lot of people able to assist you, and if necessary, we can provide you with things so that you can go ahead and take care of your court matters.
Just a disposable mask if you maybe have forgotten one.
That's correct.
So
Absolutely.
you have one, we can give you one.
Yes, sir.
Just don't get used to that coming in. If you come in every day, you might want to start bringing yourself a mask.
Well, we'll remember you after the third visit, we promise.
Now, the security checkpoint, too, is like, it's just like any kind of secure facility. You got to make sure you have all the stuff out of your pockets and whatnot.
Yeah, we have to walk through metal detectors, and we, of course, any package or box or any kind of personal belongings you may bring in, they will have to run through the X-ray machine just for security. So again, too, folks, don't. It's never a good idea to bring weapons into a law enforcement facility or a courthouse. So if you have those items, please leave them secured in your locked vehicle, since this is, again, a facility that also has a detention center. We don't recommend you leave your vehicle unlocked for any reason.
Please
But,
say it again, even for the folks at home who don't ever come to court.
Yes.
Lock your car.
At least make it difficult for them. Make them work for it if they're going to try. But ultimately, when you come in, just use common sense. If you don't need it, don't bring it.
There you go. Bring your paperwork, though.
Absolutely.
So we have a need of court officers. We touched on it a little bit. We need Class 1 certified officers. But tell us about the need of folks to, protect these facilities.
Well, we have, as we mentioned, we have a number of facilities, and we need some qualified individuals. There's a number of ways. I mean, we'll take a person that's new to law enforcement. You'll be required to go through the academy and earn your accreditation so you can be a law enforcement officer. And you'll go through FTO training, which will also give you the skills that you need to be a fully functional officer on the road.
Right.
And then you'll be assigned to this unit where you can then use those skills and a good number of other new skills that you'll be trained to fulfill this unit. If you're already credited with the South Carolina law enforcement, you will be able to, if you're retired or you want to transfer from another, I'm not trying to pull anybody from another agency,
do it.
But if you have a reason to move, you want to get closer to the in-laws, whatever it is,
get off the road.
That process is a little bit more expedited, but you'll still have to go through a few hoops to get there, but it's a much more rapid process. So we're just looking for people that, we're not the pasture where you go and retire. Like I said, we want to be a full service unit. We are a support unit, so we want you to be able to operate in all capacities.
So you don't want to. I mean, it's good to say if somebody's already put in 25 years at another agency, but they don't want. They're retiring from that agency, and they maybe want to still work, but not the normal 12-hour shifts of a day, always on the road, rotating night and days, and this, and they want to still work in law enforcement, but have a better schedule. Absolutely,
and that's exactly the reason why I'm in the court unit at this time. The rotating shift isn't for everybody, and our department does not work on straight shifts. So, either you get used to flip-flopping schedules, or you find another assignment that doesn't require that. So that's definitely a bonus. It is a set schedule. It is a variable set schedule. I know that sounds a bit of an oxymoron, but
what do you mean by that?
We respond to the court based on what the court's needs. If we have a trial, it may run an exorbitantly long period of time because we, of course, as we all know, we want justice to follow its course.
All right.
And with the difference of the courts being up and down, especially through this wonderful COVID experience that we've all had, the court schedule can change instantaneously. So it usually falls within a certain time frame, but within that time frame, there's a lot of slipping and sliding going on. Right. So. But we will always find things to keep you adequately occupied.
Well, good. Well, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, you said, I mean, you work in the courts. You're the court security, but you're also on the mounted patrol. And are you still on the dive team?
No, I've never been on the dive team, and I am no longer on the mounted patrol.
No way. Are you kidding?
My horse is retired.
I did not know that.
Yes, I've put up my spurs. But I have interest in other areas.
Okay.
There's a lot of opportunities in this department.
Well, that's what I mean. If somebody wants to come and they could be a part of another unit, specialized unit, they can do that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I know the sheriff encourages.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have so many different areas that this department offers to serve the community. It's a fantastic place to work. There's a lot of I'm involved in executive protection training as well. So, I mean, whatever is really up your alley, you'll be able to find a way to plug into that.
Yeah.
And add it to the repertoire.
You're not just solely stuck in, court security. You could do anything, really, if you want to.
Yeah, definitely, and there's flexibility in it as far as having your weekends off is a big bonus.
Yeah.
So that's a big enticement that was for me,
Right.
especially even if you're a young officer, you have a young family, and you want to have some more stability. You don't want to get out of law enforcement, but you want to dedicate that time in the early years of your family to have a more consistent schedule. That definitely is a positive, and that. It doesn't mean you're relegated, that once you land here, you don't have to stay here.
Right.
You can do a 1-year tour here and work in the courts for a year and move to another area. That's something the sheriff is always great about is allowing people to do what they do best. And
Perfect.
You'll find that they do a much better job when they enjoy it.
Well, good. And I know that's one of the big perks about this is if you want to do something, you could do whatever you'd like. So, man, I didn't know you retired from the Mountain Patrol.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I don't want to call it retired.
I have moved
away.
on.
Moved on.
I have moseyed on.
That was a
There
big
you
deal,
go.
man, because you had a good time doing the Mountain
I
Patrol.
did.
We're going to bring Mark in here in a couple, soon, hopefully, who's over the Mountain Patrol. But that was a big, I mean, the horses were big crowd pleasers,
They are. And, it's a great tool to communicate with people. Everybody is, I mean, we outplayed the fire trucks and
You're right.
all the other stuff. The first thing people were drawn to is the horses.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful way to illustrate to people that, the department is a lot more than just traffic stops. And
Well, think about it. I mean, in the early days of the sheriff's office, they didn't have cars like
They
in
were
the 19th century sheriff's office. They had horses to get
they
around.
were the original pursuit vehicle.
That's
yes,
right.
sir. It was either that or on foot.
Well, we'll talk to Mark about that in a couple of weeks. But, one thing we always ask folks, before we wrap up is, for somebody like yourself who didn't think about getting into law enforcement and then just say, I want to help people. What's one thing that you would suggest to somebody, or if you could give a piece of advice to somebody who's thinking about getting into law enforcement as a career, whether it's just working in court security or being a road deputy or even working their way up to being the sheriff one day? What's something that you would, some knowledge that you would impart on somebody who's just on the fence?
Well, I'll tell you honestly, the sheriff's office has a fantastic program called the Citizens Academy, which is actually a fantastic way if you want to get a feel for what it is to be in law enforcement.
Yep.
And the sheriff's office is unique from different municipalities and city. We deal with a different type of a broader spectrum of individuals, and but the Citizens Academy is a fantastic way. You'll get a taste of a little bit of everything, and you'll find out if you like it or you don't.
Right.
You'll get a chance to go through the detention center, and you'll have a chance to actually utilize a firearm and see all the different aspects of what law enforcement is. So
Get to go on a ride along.
Absolutely. That's a great way to get a feel for things.
Let's hope we do this year. COVID kind of shut us down last year.
Yeah,
Well,
ultimately, if that's available to you, that's a fantastic way to get a taste, because you're going to see the criminal investigation side of it. You're going to see the patrol side of it. You're going to see the whole broad spectrum of what the law enforcement is as far as being a sheriff's deputy. But, I would definitely encourage you. There's a lot of rewards in being in law enforcement.
Right.
I know it's been vilified lately.
Yep.
But if you're a person that really believes in doing the right thing and helping people, we're constantly being criticized for things that we may do wrong. But to be truthful, there's so many things that law enforcement does that's way beyond those things, and until you're a part of it, you really can't know.
That is true, because what you see in the news is just you can't see this on a podcast. I'm holding my fingers up, just a little
Picture,
bit.
if you will, he's
My
pinching
hand-
his fingers about 1.25 inches away from each other.
That's right, an inch and a half, inch and a quarter. That's how much you see of law enforcement in the news. That is the very small bit of it. But you come see the bigger picture of this, and hopefully, in January we'll open up the Citizens Academy again, and have hope. Well, probably the people who signed up for it last year will get rolled into this year. But it's open to I mean, I think we had 35 in 2019.
Yeah. My wife actually went through it. I don't know if you knew that, Trent.
No, I
but
did not.
My wife went through it as well.
Was she? Did she like the PIO section of it? You know,
Absolutely. I think she said that was her favorite.
Because, well, yours truly does get to go and speak about the public information aspect of the sheriff's office. And
well, it's very important.
Well, it is.
It's very important. They're not going to know if you don't tell them.
That's right, and that's why we have the podcast. And now we know. We know about Mark Rodenhauser. We know about the man behind the badge, and we know about his previous, what'd you call it? Bouncing around of
my career ADD.
Career ADD. Well, good. Now, hopefully folks will listen to this and say, you know what? I mean, maybe I'll go, you know, I'm getting ready to retire, but I don't want to get out, but this is a good spot for me to fall into is, you know, it's working in, you know, that's court security over here at the sheriff's office. And you can work in York or in Rock Hill. I mean, you got all these different courthouses all over the world.
Absolutely.
Just not night court. Just not night court.
No night court. No, don't call me Bull.
I wasn't saying anything, man. I didn't
You were thinking it.
Well, I mean,
I could see the thought bubble above your head.
It's okay. I apologize if I offended you, but I mean, it is what it is. All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of YCSO Behind the Badge. We got a good look behind the badge of Sergeant Mark Rodenhauser here at the York County Sheriff's Office. And if you are interested in looking into a career at the York County Sheriff's Office for either one, court security, or one, being a full-fledged road deputy, or, you know, working in the detention center, we are always hiring, and you can go find out more information about that at yorkcountysheriff.com. Also, please, as we always say, go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. That's where we get a lot of information from us to you about incidents and different information that goes on at the sheriff's office and in the county. And tell your friends about the podcast. That's the best way to do it. Or you can tell them, say, hey, go check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Overcast, just to name a few. That's a whole bunch of different casts we're on, but we're on the Anchor podcasting service. And lastly, again, sign up for those notify me alerts straight to your phone and email at yorkcountysheriff.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on YCSO Behind the Badge.